We are now on step 3 of 4 when creating the production cost report. We will compute the cost per equivalent unit of production. That means we will have to fill out this section in the red box. Up to this point in steps 1 and 2, we focused on the units, the actual puzzles the assembly department made. But now we turn our attention to the costs associated with those puzzles. Let's start with the transferred in column. Since this department is the first process, there are no costs transferred in, so we can place NA, which stands for not applicable, in the transferred in column for costs. Now we move on to the beginning work in process. According to our data table, the costs in the beginning work in process were 0 for transferred in costs, material costs, and conversion costs. This makes sense since the data box also says there were 0 units in the beginning work in process. Since the data box says there were 0 costs for beginning work in process for material costs and conversion costs, we can enter 0 here, here, and the total will also be 0. Next, we'll complete the direct materials column. The first thing we need are the costs for direct materials, which we get from the data box. So it looks like this department used $140,000 for direct materials like cardboard, pictures, and glue. Then we add the 0 for the beginning work in process costs to the $140,000 of direct materials, and we get $140,000 of costs to account for. Next, we divide by total equivalent units of production, which we get from up above in the units section of the report. The next step is to simply do the math. The cost per equivalent unit of production for direct materials is total direct material costs divided by equivalent units of production for direct materials. So $140,000 of direct materials costs to account for divided by 50,000 total equivalent units gives us $2.80 of direct material per puzzle. So this means each puzzle has $2.80 of direct material costs. Next, we will calculate conversion costs, which of course are direct labor and manufacturing overhead. So now we're going to complete the conversion costs column. The first thing we need are the costs for total conversion costs, which we get from the data box. The $68,000 of conversion costs simply consists of $20,000 of direct labor plus $48,000 of manufacturing overhead. We then fill in that portion of our production cost report. Then we add the 0 for the beginning work in process costs to the $68,000 of conversion costs, and we get $68,000 of costs to account for. Next, we divide by total equivalent units of production, which we get from up above in the units section of the report. The next step is to simply do the math. The cost per equivalent unit of production for conversion costs is total conversion costs divided by equivalent units of production for conversion costs. So $68,000 of conversion costs to account for divided by 42,500 total equivalent units gives us $1.60 of conversion costs per puzzle. So this means each puzzle has $1.60 of conversion costs. The last part of this third step is to complete the total cost column. For costs added during the period, we simply add the transferred in costs plus the direct materials costs plus the conversion costs to get a total of $208,000 of costs added during the period. For total costs to account for, you can either add from left to right or add vertically by adding beginning work in process total costs and add that to total costs added during the period to get $208,000 of total costs to account for. Then the final part of this step 3 is to calculate the total cost per equivalent unit, which adds $2.80 and $1.60 to get a total of $4.40 of product costs per equivalent unit.